right, so hey guys, if you are watching this part of the video, then that means that I have hopefully already introduced it and already kind of given you guys an idea of what this video is going to be about. But just in case I haven't, welcome back to my corner where I inspire others to dream more, live more, and become more. So today we're going to be talking basically about how to implement a Scrum framework in your current job. I get a lot of people who comment on my videos and they kind of ask me, how do I get into Scrum? Or like, I'm a beginner, like I have no idea what to do. So that's pretty much what this video is going to be about, just like how to implement Scrum and what you do in your work environment right now. You don't have to be a Scrum Master to implement Scrum. So, and yeah, so we're just gonna get started. As y'all can see, this is gonna be a get ready with me. I'm in a different part of my office just because this was convenient basically when it came to this video. So yeah, let's just get right into it. As y'all can see, I already did the eyebrows because if you know, you know. Trying to do eyebrows on camera is practically impossible. Like, I ain't got time. But if y'all want a brow tutorial, just let your girl know. Okay, and don't worry, I know my concealer looks kind of bright, but we're gonna fix her up. So for starters, I typically put this Juvia's Place concealer on my lids, and it's in the shade 12. I forgot exactly what Juvia's Place concealer this is. I'll leave it on the screen, but I just know that it's in the shade 12. So I usually put this on my lid, basically to prevent my lids from creasing and to make my eyes look seamless. So we're just gonna dab a little bit of that. Y'all see I got 2 dots on each side. So you don't need a whole lot. I promise you don't need a whole lot. So we here for a good time, not a long time. So I'm just literally about to hop straight into the points. When it comes to implementing Scrum, I just want to start off by saying the best way to implement Scrum is, if you want to implement Scrum, you have to work on a team. That's just number one. You can practice some things that feel like Scrum if you're like, you know, if you work by yourself or you don't work on a team of people. But personally, I feel like the Scrum framework is most effective if you already work with a team. And so most of us do, like, unless you're into like really specific technical roles, like a software engineer or, you know, like a developer or something like that, chances are you probably already work on a team. And even those people, like those roles that I just listed, even they work with a team, right? If you are a person and you don't necessarily work with people on a weekly basis, like work and get together with team members to have meetings and stuff, it's gonna be really hard to implement like a Scrum framework. So Scrum is literally built on a team dynamic, right? So you have your Scrum Master, you have your developer, and you have your product owner. So in order to obviously start to work in a Scrum environment, you have to get used to what it feels like to work on a team, to be like a team player and all that good stuff. So this is the product that I'm putting on my eyelids, Radiant Beauty True Complexion Loose Setting Powder. And this is in like the natural shade. It's in the shade Cocoa Kisses, okay? This is really good, by the way. I love all of Radiant's, well, let me not even say all, but I love their product. As y'all can see, you can barely notice that I'm even putting this powder on my lids. If you're a person where, you know, you kind of prefer to work by yourself, or, you know, you kind of like to be to yourself when it comes to getting your work done, you don't really like having team meetings, you don't really like talking to other people at work, then, you know, implementing this might be kind of difficult. And I feel like even if you're an introvert, like, because some people, I guess, kind of feel like in order for you to have like that personality where you're a team player, that you have to be extroverted. That is literally the furthest thing from the truth. You honestly just have to know how to communicate and how to effectively like just talk to people, even if it's just about work. Like, you don't have to have a super tight bestie relationship with everybody on your team. However, you have to know how to be a team player. You have to be willing to listen to other people, be an effective communicator, make sure you're responding to emails, and make sure you're approachable. Because I feel like sometimes people who are more introverted, I feel like sometimes it can be hard for them to like be approached by other people because they're more quiet. So like people don't really know how to approach them or like how to like really start conversations. So you can be introverted and still be friendly. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just kind of feel like introvert doesn't necessarily mean antisocial. It just literally means that you are just not going to be a person that might walk up to a person for the first time and start a conversation with them. But okay, I think my lids are decent. Y'all see, you can literally barely tell that I have shadow on. But another reason why I like this technique is because when I do my, when I contour my nose, because it's darker, I can blend it, you know, like from my nose, I can blend it like into my eyelid, and it blends right in with like this neutral color. So like it makes it look seamless. So, you know, just giving y'all the makeup hacks here, okay? Ooh, and my camera's about to die. Okay, so before my camera dies, I'm gonna quickly show you guys what I'm about to do next. I'm just going in with my Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation, and I am in the shade Amber Honey, which is 5 in 2. This is literally the GOAT. It's full coverage. It's everything, honestly. I've been using this for some months now, and like, I am literally never going back. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I can't think of the other brand, but there's a drugstore brand that's pretty close to this, and it's way cheaper. So if I ever had to go to another one, I would definitely go back to that one. I'm gonna just pour it on my hand, just a little bit. You literally don't need a lot of this. All right, y'all, my camera died, but as y'all can see, I have applied my foundation. I feel like this light is making me look really weird, but I promise you guys, it's gonna all come together. Y'all know I don't be playing when it comes to a beat face, period. Period.
Period.
Period.
Period.
I don't know why, but I've really been on my city girl lately, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. I have been giving very much city girl, okay? He been over me, okay? Like I said, I have applied my foundation, and now I'm gonna go in with that same concealer that I used on my lids, and I'm gonna apply that to like my under eyes. So the next thing that I would say that could help you implement a Scrum framework in your current job is to propose stand-up meetings. I feel like stand-up meetings can go a couple of different ways, because technically, stand-up meetings are conducted on a daily basis for about 15 minutes. So in Scrum, they're called the daily Scrum. A daily Scrum is basically a meeting where you get together for 15 minutes to discuss 3 main things, right? And I feel like in project management, I think it might just be called a daily stand-up or something like that. Or like at my job where I work as a program manager, we call it a stand-up. So I feel like, you know, everyone is maybe like slightly different, but they all essentially have the same goal. So in a stand-up, there are like 3 main goals. So the first one, and I have my notes right here if y'all see me look down. So the first one is what has been done already. The second one is what is going to be the new focus, or what is going to be worked on for the day or the week. And then the last one is what are my impediments, what are my barriers, and you know, just different things like that. So based on some research that I did, they said that the reason that it started being called a stand-up is because supposedly it was like a meeting where it was conducted with everybody standing up. And the reason for that is because it is not supposed to be a long meeting. A daily Scrum, like I said again, a daily Scrum meeting is literally 15 minutes. Like, it's not a meeting for y'all to literally talk about everything under the sun. It's not one of those formal meetings where you're like sitting down and like bringing out this long list of stuff, or you're talking about like all these different issues for an hour, 2 hours and stuff like that. The whole goal is to literally check in with your team, see what's been done, see what y'all are actively working on, and exactly what support you need based on what your barriers are. So I feel like this is another thing that could be easily implemented into a current job, just because it's like if you work on a team, you're gonna be meeting anyway, you know what I mean? Now, I know it might be kind of difficult. So like for my job, for example, we don't do daily Scrum meetings like at all. And by the way, I feel like I always have to make this clarification. My job title is not Scrum Master. Like, I'm not a Scrum Master for my job at the moment, if that makes sense. I am a program manager, kind of similar to a project manager, but also very different. I don't have a Scrum Master job. I have a Scrum Master certification, and I feel like there is a difference. Daily meetings, or even if you can start by just doing once a week where you check in with your team. Also, for consistency's sake, this is also in the Scrum Guide, but you want to make sure that you have the meeting at the same time every single time y'all have it. So if you propose that you and your team meet every Monday at 11:30, then it needs to be consistent. Every Monday at 11:30, everybody knows that we're gonna have our daily stand-up. And so the purpose of that is basically to like increases productivity. It also increases efficiency, and it increases attendance. Keep it consistent. Send out your calendar invite for like 100 days out, so that everybody knows Wednesdays at 3 p.m. from 3 p.m. to 3:15. I know for a fact that I have my meeting and I can't do nothing else. You want to make sure that you're meeting on a consistent basis. I would say at least more than once a week, to me, seems good. Like I said, my team and I, we meet on Mondays and Fridays. Those are our days. We check in on Mondays. We talk about our barriers and different stuff like that. We talk about where we are at the moment and what we're actively going to be working on, what support we need. And then on Friday, we talk about our big wins, what went well, and what do we even continue to need help with for the following week. Another thing too is like when you're meeting too far apart, I think that's another reason why some meetings tend to run over. Like if you're only meeting every other week, then there's a higher chance chance that you're probably gonna have a lot more to talk about and you won't be able to get that done in 15 minutes. So to set my face, I'm going in with my Fenty, I think this is the Pro Filter. Yeah, this is the Pro Filter setting powder in the shade Honey. This is literally golden, y'all. Like when I say you apply it and it melts into your skin, number one. Number two, I have literally had this forever and I still have so much left. To be completely honest, this is one of those products where it's like, it's kind of expensive. I didn't buy this. My line sister gave me this, so I ain't pay for this. This is one of those products that like when it runs out, I am like gonna happily spend my money to buy more because I just feel like it's that good and it's worth it. It's almost like when you get your wax for the first time, like when you see how good it is, you be like, I mean, yeah, it's $70, but the freaking results are popping, so. The key to setting powder, why do I look so powdery on camera? The key to setting powder too is to really make sure you press it into your skin. Like when I started doing that, I felt like it really does help with the oil control, like, and making sure that you're not literally out here like looking like a freaking grease ball. So while I am baking for like a quick second, I'm gonna go ahead and apply the glue for my lashes. All right guys, so while my lash glue is drying, I'm just gonna go ahead and, this is an e.l.f. brush and this is the Ultimate Blending Brush by e.l.f. So I'm just gonna take that and dust off my setting powder. Anyway, so moving into the next point. So another way that you can effectively implement Scrum or a Scrum, like a similar from Scrum work in your current job is to work in sprints. And by the way, if y'all don't know what any of these terms mean, you can always go to, I think scrumalliance.org or like scrum.org. I'll leave some websites in the description box so you guys can get an idea of exactly like what certain terms mean, how they work and how to implement them. So basically a sprint is like another word for like a phase. So when you work in sprints, you work in like active phases to get to an end goal. That's probably a really terrible definition of a sprint, but imagine like a sprint in track. When you're running, like you're sprinting from one point to another point. So you're doing like a 400-meter run or something like that. You literally sprint from the start to the 400-meter mark or whatever. So hopefully that makes sense. But basically, when you work in sprints, it's important to remember that sprints are time sensitive, okay? So in Scrum, sprints normally last from 2 to 4 weeks. Scrum is iterative. It's short, it's quick. Y'all moving from one phase to the next, okay? Another thing about sprints is that it's important that you have a sprint goal. So the Scrum Guide also talks about like a sprint goal, and I feel like that kind of speaks for itself. But just in case you guys want me to go into more detail, a sprint goal is what essentially guides the sprint. Like, okay, what is the purpose of this sprint? What are we trying to accomplish? Like what product do we want to produce at the end of this phase? Whether it's a short-term product or, you know, the final product, whatever it is, each sprint is guided by a sprint goal. So you have to establish a goal. And I think we've kind of talked a little bit before on my channel about goals that are SMART, right? So you want to be specific when you're planning your sprint goal. You want it to be measurable, attainable, all that good stuff. All right, so now I am going in and I'm over zooming in because my camera be acting up and they be wasting too much time. This is the Black Radiance Color Foundation Stick, and this is in the shade, there's a name for it, but the number is 6825. I don't know why I can't see the name on here, but yeah, so I use this as my contour and it's like the best thing that's ever happened to me. All right, so now we are just gonna blend out our contour. Another thing about sprints that I really wanted to share with you guys is that it's also really good that when you're working in sprints, you also wanna you can use like a best practices guide. Like at my job, we use a best practice guide for basically everything. When we're working like through our different project tasks or whatever, and we're trying to get to the end goal, I'll just use like an example from my job. So we work in sprints, right? And so one of our sprints, we have to conduct interviews with the the people who want to join our program, right? So the way that that basically works, when we're conducting interviews, I go by a best practice guide that was created by my team members, and that's pretty much what I use whenever I have like questions. You have certain questions about something, like your best practices guide is basically something that'll guide you while you're working through a certain sprint. What I personally like about best practices is that it's almost like you can't go wrong. Like if you're following all the steps in the best practices guide and you're always going back to it, you kind of can't really mess up, to be honest, because again, if you ever have questions or if you ever get confused, if you ever like forget how to do a certain step, you can use your best practices guide as like an outline to kind of like draw you back into the whole purpose of why you're doing what you're doing. Best practices guides for me are like super helpful because anybody who has worked with me before knows that I always ask questions. My team literally be teasing me because one thing about me, I'ma ask because I don't like feeling confused. I don't like feeling like I'm the only one in the room that don't know what's going on. And the reality too is like if you're a person where you feel like you be shy about asking questions, don't be. Literally don't be shy, because more than likely a question that you're asking is something that somebody else also wants to know, but they just ain't gonna ask, and then they just be breezing through it and then they might make a mistake, you know? So before I make a mistake, I'm gonna ask a question. That's one thing about me, I'm gonna ask. And then the last thing I wanted to, because I don't want to like go dig too deep into each of these points, but just another thing that I wanted to add about sprints is that this is also the time where you can assign tasks and roles and things like that. So another good thing about sprints is that that's an opportunity when you're planning your sprint. That's an opportunity for you to assign tasks, like, okay, who's going to be responsible for what, and then after you establish that, put it in your best practices and use that. So y'all see what I was saying earlier about like literally blending my contour into my eyeshadow? I feel like I might not be using the right brush. I think I need like a more defined brush, something that's a little smaller to like really get into the crevices, but yeah. Yeah, another little like secret, if you're trying to like get a narrow part of your face and you don't have like a narrow sponge, like I could probably use this and I'll probably go back in with this. But another thing that I've seen people do before is they'll take the end of the tip of their brush and like squeeze it like this. So instead of it being open, you squeeze it and then you can get into those crevices. So do y'all ever feel like you over blend your face sometimes? Like I feel like sometimes I blend so much to the point where you can't see. Like, does it look like my nose is contoured? Do I look with, oh, my lashes. Y'all, I done forgot about my lashes. I don't even know if they're gonna stick at this point. We might have to re-glue and redo. Why y'all ain't remind me about my lashes? Why y'all ain't remind me? My hair looking like a naked mole rat and ain't even know it. All right, so what else do I have to do to my face? So I'm gonna go back in with my Real Technique brush, like number 200, my expert face brush. And I'm gonna go in with my Juvia's Place bronze palette, and this is in the shade Dark. And I'm gonna use that to apply my bronzer. I feel like bronzer changed the game for my makeup, y'all, for real. Like, it be making my face look so warm and just big. So when it comes to applying my bronzer, I essentially kind of go in the same areas of my contour. That's what the YouTube University girls taught me, so that's essentially what I do. Please don't ask me for no specific technique, because I ain't got one. All right, so y'all see, look. Oh, look at her. She be, but oh, don't worry, we're gonna blend her in for all of y'all over there looking like, girl, you need to blend that in. I know. Mind yours, baby. Mind yours. Anyway, enough about sprints. Let's move on to the next topic. Another way that you can implement Scrum into your current framework at your current job is by creating a backlog. So I know that sounds like a very pretty formal word, and it might sound a little bit intimidating where you're wondering like, what the heck is a backlog? I'm not gonna say self-explanatory because I feel like when I first heard the word backlog, I didn't really know what it meant. But basically a backlog is just like a list of items that need to be done. For me, what helps a whole lot when it comes to having a backlog is I also have deadlines. So you know how like sometimes, almost like a to-do list. If you wanna think about a backlog, think about a to-do list. A sprint backlog is essentially a list of items that needs to be completed within that sprint. Before I forget, let me try to go ahead and apply these lashes. Y'all, this lash is not, listen, the glue dried a little too much on this one and it's not sticking in the corner, but I'm not reapplying this. So y'all gonna get this lash exactly how she is. Oh my God. I'm gonna end up taking this lash off and fixing it. I know me, I know me. Let's add a little bit of blush to our cheeks. shall we? So this is all my products, like the names are literally rubbed off. Look at this. The name is completely rubbed off, but it's like it's on the tip of my tongue. But I'll leave it on the screen, and this is in the shade Dulce Pink. So I'm taking my blush brush, again from Real Techniques, and I'm just gonna apply that blush onto my brush. I can't really see a difference. I don't know. I really love when the girls have like their cheeks like a very faint pink. I feel like it looks so pretty on brown skin, but I have just not found that blush that does that for me. So if y'all have recommendations for blushes, let me know, because clearly I'm missing something. Before we round up, y'all already know we have to add our lips. So before I apply my lip products, I do want to go ahead and go over the very last point of this video. So last but not least, when it comes to implementing Scrum into your current job, one of the easiest and probably most important things that you can do out of everything I said is to stick to the Scrum value. If you ever want to know the Scrum values and you don't want to forget them, or if you're studying for your Scrum certificate or whatever, and you need a good acronym, just remember FORK. Okay, focus, openness, respect, courage, and commitment. That's FORK, okay? More than anything, I mean, when it comes to a Scrum environment, you want to be focused, right? You want to make sure that you have an end goal. You want to make sure that you're not spending too much time on one particular area, but focus in and hone in on what matters the most and stick to that and drive that all the way to the end. Then when it comes to being open, as a Scrum Master, you have to be transparent, okay? So be open. If it seems like something is kind of off track, you can speak up, say something about it. If you notice an impediment or if you notice a barrier, talk to your team about it and be open and like honest with them and let them know that this is something that you've spotted, so that way you guys can come together to figure out how to resolve that issue or that barrier or whatever it is. And then respect. When it comes to respect, of course, you have to have respect regardless, no matter what team you work on, what type of environment. You have to respect yourself, and you also have to respect your teammates. So respecting each other's time, making sure that you're not going over meetings, making sure you're not doing people's job for them, and all that kind of stuff is very, very, very important as well. In order to get from point A to point B, or from the beginning of one sprint to the end of it, you have to be committed. You have to remember why you started, and you have to be willing to work as a team to get to the end goal. And then last but not least, you have to be courageous. So courage is also super important when it comes to facing some of those issues in Scrum. When issues come up, when barriers come up, how exactly are you approaching those things? You have to be courageous, and then you also have to have the courage to speak up if it seems like something isn't right. Scrum Masters don't really always get respect. That's the one thing that I've just kind of noticed over time. That's what I have seen. Scrum Masters don't really always get that respect. So you gotta have the courage to speak up and say, okay, this is what I've noticed that's wrong, and this is how I think that we should implement it and make it right. And I would say like confidence too. I know that that's not really a part of the acronym, but I feel like courage and confidence kind of go hand in hand. Like having the confidence to say, as a Scrum Master, I know how to implement the Scrum framework, and this is how we should do it. So I feel like, sometimes it could be intimidating, right? If you're working on a team of people who may not always believe in your vision or like what you have or what you can see for the team, if people don't always believe in that, sometimes it's gonna be really hard to get your point across. So you gotta be courageous, All right, so going in with my Juvia's Place pencil, I'm gonna go ahead and outline my lips, and we will finish this look up. All right, y'all, this is my first time wearing my hair in a bun since I cut it. What do we think? I feel like it actually came out kind of cute. It came out cuter than I thought, and I feel like the camera is not really like giving y'all the full view. All right, guys, so this is the final product. I hope you guys enjoyed this get ready with me. I still just feel like this is the area that I be struggling a little bit, because I be trying to talk to y'all and talk to the camera. I just said the same thing twice. I be trying to talk to y'all and beat this face at the same time, and it is not an easy task. So shout out to any of you who do get ready with me all the time. time. So I hope that you guys really did enjoy this video, and I hope you learned a little bit about exactly how you can be a Scrum Master in training in your current role. I really appreciate the fact that some of you guys comment and say stuff like, I got my Scrum Master certification because of you, or I was interested in Scrum and because of you I decided to go after it. Like, that warms my little heart. Y'all have no idea. It makes me feel so good to know that I'm influencing y'all, like, right? That's what we do over here. We inspire others to what? Dream more, live more, become more, period. Anyway, with that, I am actually about to film another video. So if you like this video, like I always say, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and please make sure you subscribe, but only subscribe if you feeling the vibe. And I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.